Well, holy cannoli, guys, it's time to talk about Sonic Spinball, which has always felt like the odd man out in the Sonic lineup. Despite being featured on so many Sega and Sonic compilations, it always seems like people either hate or like this game. No one really loves it or has ever admitted in public to it being their favorite. I mean, I would legitimately be scared for someone's mental well-being if someone just came out and said, "Hey guys, you know what? Sonic Spinball is the GOAT of Sonic games. And by the way, I think Ghostbusters 2016 is just so superior to the original." Yeah, it just wouldn't go over too well. So this is a game I could never beat growing up. Well, I didn't exactly grow up with this game in the sense that I never owned it or actually rented it as a really young kid. I used to play it at a friend's house and it just felt impossible and overwhelming and not something I was used to. I mean, this is pretty different from the Sonic games I had played up to this point. So I never asked my parents for this game. It wasn't until I received Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube when I was 15 for the Christmas of 2002 that I really had a genuine sit-down session where I could actually adjust and learn about this game, and I will say it's pretty easy to figure out. You have to use Sonic as a pinball and navigate Robotnik's Vago Fortress and his oh-so-brilliant pinball defense system. Nice one, guys. Maybe Robotnik can just trap Sonic in a toilet machine next, or a clothing dryer, perhaps?
If you think it's smart to climb in a dryer, you're really all wet.
So after building a huge death machine, the Death Egg, we're now settling on a pinball machine of all things? I mean, come on. Not very creative, to say the least. But I suppose there's no good reason someone could come up with for getting Sonic into this pinball scenario. Interestingly enough, this is all taking place on Mobius, which was the setting for the 90s comics and cartoons at the time. Funny enough, this is the only game to actually feature Mobius, even though it was Sonic's home planet in the comics for years. So one of the biggest changes from Sonic 1 and 2 is the physics, and the game feels kind of fast and slow at the same time, if that makes any sense. And that has something to do with this game being developed using a different programming language, known as C, while most games use something called assembly. I'm not a programmer, and to tell you the truth, I couldn't tell you what this all means, just wiki it. To sum it up, they did it as a shortcut because it was easier to program with. It's also interesting to note that Japan had very little to almost nothing to do with the creation of this game, as development was handled by Sega Technical Institute, the American division of Sega. Not sure if this is directly related to the programming, but Sonic just looks bad in this game. His sprite is just very different and just looks less detailed and bland compared to the other Genesis games. Basically, they did this to save time because Sonic 3 was supposed to come out for the holiday season in 1993, but they couldn't make the deadline. So they decided to just be lazy with the spin-off game so they could get something Sonic related out in time for Christmas. It's pretty obvious there's a big departure from Sonic 1 and 2 in terms of the controls, because you'll notice how differently the pinball mechanic plays than it does in Casino Night Zone in Sonic 2. And the movement seems choppy and slow, but at times things can move fast. It just feels uneven and not as smooth. It's responsive without a doubt, but there's problems. Oh yeah, buddy, there's problems, big problems, as in this game is pretty fucking hard. I have such a love-hate relationship with this game. The game just seemed unbeatable to me, because even though this game only has 4 levels, it also has no continues, and there's this undeniable hard-on for not giving you any extra lives unless you get 20,000 points. Even if you successfully complete one of the bonus stages after each level, you win, you guessed it, no extra lives, but you will get points, a pathetic amount of points. Mind you, why is the game so evil? It's for kids. That is Sonic's target audience for the most part, but this game is unforgiving, and it's just funny how some programmer thought this game was beatable by kids. They must have had a lot of confidence in us. Well, actually, I'm really curious to know which genius decided on the no continues part. Like, what game at this time didn't have such a basic feature to keep you from going insane? On second thought, they probably programmed it to be so hard on purpose. There had to be one guy, one really massive asshole who hated kids and liked to see them suffer. And he actually had to say in a boardroom meeting one day at Sega headquarters, "Guys, fuck those kids. Let's make them cry and make them want to break their controllers because these kids are not getting any continues on my watch." Okay, so the first level, Toxic Caves, isn't so bad once you get the hang of it. And learn that you can't just bounce Sonic around like a fucking goof. You actually need to use the flippers and line up your shots, or you will not get far or make any progress. There's always something in your way, such as barrels or doors, and then you need to worry about falling. And in the first level, there's stuff to catch you, for the most part, if you fall below the flippers, so you could be a little lax, but not too much. You'll also learn that the text boxes at the top of the screen can provide you with hints. The main goal is to get all the Chaos Emeralds and the stage and open up the boss room. There's always going to be something stopping you from getting to the emerald easily, so you need to use all your skills to reach it. And the level design is always vertical for the most part, so your goal is to move upward. In the second stage, Lava Powerhouse, there's nothing to catch you if you fall, unless it's off to the side and the Weasel characters can give you a lift back up. But if you fall in the center, you're going to be boiled alive. You need to learn how to master Sonic's movement and the physics by this point, or you're not going to last long at all. The thing that pisses me off the most is the obstacles, because if you die at all, everything you do is basically reset, except for the emeralds you got. So in a stage like Lava Powerhouse, this is especially annoying since you'll have to use these cannons to shoot yourself into these doors 3 times to open them. And you also need to fire yourself out of the cannon an additional 4th time to go sailing through it. Why can't he just go through after the 3rd hit? Why make me fall back down and have me painstakingly line my shots up again? And that's the key to your success here, and everywhere else in the game. Lining up your shots and holding the flipper up to hold Sonic, and then releasing it and hitting Sonic when he's aligned with the background lights that act as a guide to line up your shot. This is going to be essential for beating this terror of a game. You're going to feel yourself being led into a trance because any slips or fuck-ups can send you down to the bottom. But once you get the hang of it, the navigation gets a lot easier, but sometimes you're just going to miss, because the game is a little too obsessed with precision shots. Aside from the doors, you'll also have to break through 2 drain plugs. After delivering 3 hits to each of them, you'll see these steam jets, and oh! What's that? You didn't know you had to press the A button and press it repeatedly to activate them to propel Sonic upward towards the emerald? What are you, some kind of idiot? I mean, who wouldn't know that? I mean, who would know the minute you access a new part of the stage that you wouldn't just suddenly become in control of a random gimmick object that isn't Sonic or the flippers? So if you miss this, you'll have to go all the way through the whole process of making your way back here again. I hope you learned your lesson, because you have to do it twice. Who would expect this kind of obstacle and know what to do on their first try? It just seems like a textbook example of assholeian philosophy used in game design. The machine, the 3rd level, seems to have fewer hazards, as you can only really die in the main room, which is odd considering this is the 3rd level. But don't worry, they've crammed enough shit to do in this level to make up for it, because unlike the previous level, you get almost no hints here, and the rotating chutes just keep spinning until you figure out you need to use the power conduits on both sides of the main room, 3 times each. This game really loves threes. I'm surprised we didn't get to see a threesome with Sonic, Bunny Rabbit, and Sally. And hey, guess what? They're actually in the game. Yes, that's right, the Princess Sally, the queen of furry culture, the empress who gave birth to a legion of anthropomorphic amatory obsessions, is actually featured in this game, briefly, during the bonus stages. And so is Rotor, but not Antoine. And who the hell is this monkey? You know what's funny? I didn't realize this until recently, but those two Sonic designs on both sides of the pinball table, well, I just found out those aren't designs. That's actually a reflection of Sonic playing the pinball game. I just happened to notice Sonic's fingers moving and just had a revelation to end all revelations. I mean, some people have revelations that change their lives, their careers, their definition of what it means to love, and perhaps find their purpose in life. My revelation? I just noticed that Sonic's fucking reflection on the pinball machine. Get on my level of revelations, bro. Oh, yeah, so we're talking about this third level. So this time there's 5 emeralds, when levels 1 and 2 only had 3 each. So where exactly are all these emeralds coming from? Because so far, Sonic's got 11. So I guess you can say this wasn't so strange because Sonic 1 had 6 emeralds and Sonic 2 bumped it up to 7. But so far, I've got 11 emeralds. But what if I were to tell you there's actually 5 more? 16 emeralds. I mean, guys, how exactly is Sonic carrying all this shit? That's a crap ton of emeralds. I mean, I know Sonic's lore was still pretty much in its infancy at this point, but that's a pretty drastic jump, don't you think? So I'm not ready to jump into the 4th and final stage yet because I'm not mentally prepared. So let's talk about the bosses first. They're all basically modeled after Robotnik aesthetically. You've got this awesome looking Scorpion boss, then this really lame looking Boiler boss, and then this Roboticizer, which is okay in design, not really the best boss designs, especially with only 4 levels, but I do dig Scorpius. He is pretty rad looking, so I can't put it off any longer. Let's talk about the motherfucker in the room. The level that makes this game so ungodly hard, and that's Showdown. This game further demonstrates how uneven the difficulty is, as from level 1 to 4, it's easy, pretty hard, not as hard, and then you get so fucking hard that it's almost impossible. I mean, this level right here is impossible, and it's so ridiculously hard, it's almost laughable. No, see, it's not almost laughable, it is laughable. It's a goddamn joke. I mean, we went from the previous level only having you die in the main room to having you die all over the fucking place. I mean, holy shit, this is insane. There's 5 emeralds here, and by the time you figure out how to get them, you're dead. You're just dead. There's nothing to catch you most of the time, and there's just way too much to figure out, and you're supposed to do all this with no continues and barely any lives. I know what you will say. There's only 4 levels, and it really can't take that long, but au contraire, mon fucking frere. The tedium of going through these levels just to get back to where you previously were is a nightmare. Just thinking of breaking through all those doors in the lava powerhouse and doing the machine, which takes a hell of a long time, just makes me shake my head in disgust before even doing another playthrough. So I decided I had enough, and I was going to beat this fucking game, even if it meant cheating, because you know what? This game is cheap, so what's good for the goose is good for the hedgehog. And I played this game on the Sega Genesis collection compilation for this video for the Switch. So the game has this really handy dandy feature where you can rewind all your fuck ups. And I took full advantage of it, and I rewound a lot. You bet I did. Now I could have used save states in the past, but that would be way too annoying. And at first I was like, okay, let me just use this to learn the layout fully and I will come back and beat it for real next time. But you know what? After playing through this overwhelming, nightmarish clusterfuck of a level, you know what? I'm good. I've seen enough. This thing is just way too big, way too long, and way too damn hard. I can't even put into words how much this level stacks the deck in the game's favor. So then after all that, you have to launch yourself into the air and hang on to this one little metal piece that looks like the top of a clothes hanger. And then you get to face off against Robotnik himself. And holy shit, Robotnik looks like a freakish giant. Why the hell is his sprite so massive? I don't know what it is, but something about this sprite looks so goofy, yet so horrifying at the same time. And maybe that's the point of what they were going for. But last time I looked, Robotnik was about the size of a regular fat human, maybe 6 feet tall or so. But he's sitting down in the cockpit, and he looks like he's at least 12 feet or more. It's just very strange and unsettling. I just can't get past it. And if you can look past how Robotnik looks, this fight is just the icing on the cake of what's already been a grotesque level. Robotnik has 2 defenses, a claw and 2 socks. 2 socks that I wish I could shove up his rotund ass. And you know this is bad when I'm cheating. And I'm still getting annoyed because through all this, I'm still having to play this. And you know what? I actually like this game up until this level. Sonic Spinball is a pretty good game with flaws and annoyances, plenty of them, but what game doesn't? But these defenses are so random, and you basically have to hit this button at the bottom of the cockpit. And remember that hint box? Well, that shit is pretty worthless here. Yeah, thanks for the helpful hints before, guys, and I'm actually not being sarcastic. The hint boxes actually were a nice touch, but they just figured to throw all that goodwill and common sense out the window, and instead we are left with the most worthless messages I've ever had the displeasure of reading. Click. Well, what a thoughtful hint. Surely this means the defenses are off, right? Well, guess what? Sometimes it means yes, and sometimes it means no. Isn't that just novel? The defenses pretty much turn off whenever the game fucking feels like it, because this boss doesn't follow any rules. Once his defenses are down, aim for the cockpit. But if the defenses are up, you can either be dropped to the side by this claw, which isn't so bad, but Sonic will start glitching out for some weird reason because, you know, this is the perfect time for something like that. I'm really in the mood for glitches at a time when the game is already running on full fuck you mode. Thanks! Now, if the socks are activated, you will be thrown into the wall, and if you get caught and thrown into the same wall panel 3 times, you're thrown out of the battlefield and all the way down to the bottom of the level. Just great! Now, before getting thrown out the window, I actually fell out of the bottom of the battlefield. So I played fair and didn't rewind, trying to see if I could at least beat the boss without the cheat, finding my way back up to the shuttle, but after it happened again, I gave up this seemingly hopeless dream and rewound basically every time that happened. So I ended up beating this gigantic, oversized Robotnik, and that's it. The game is over. Thank you very much, people. All I can say is wow. I don't think I have ever seen such an unfair cockamamie uptick in difficulty. And you know what? I'm happy I decided to cheat this time around to finally see what I was missing after all these years. Pure fucking agony. So, do I recommend this game? Well, as I said, the game is not bad, and 3/4 of it is actually fun and relatively fair. It's just that you're playing up to an unachievable goal, and I know there's going to be someone in the comments saying, "Oh yeah, I beat it, it's easy." And you know what? I believe you. I'm sure if you waste enough time playing this over and over, I'm sure you could pull off the perfect run. But you know what? After this experience, It's going to be quite some time before I go back and try to beat this one fair and square again. I think this experience scared me straight.